So the NFL schedule is officially out. We know exactly when and where each and every Detroit Lions game is going to be played. And this schedule sucks. And look, even though the Lions have one of the better schedules in terms of strength of schedule based on every team's records last year, this schedule features some interesting quirks that straight up suck. There's no way about it. This fucking sucks. And we're going to get into it. We're going to break down every single game on the schedule today, go through the pros, the cons, and everything in between. But before we do, if I could just get you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any future uploads. Let's get into this BS. So in case you haven't seen it yet, this is the Detroit Lions 2026 schedule, and you're going to notice some things on that schedule, but we're going to get into it. We're going to go in order, all right? We don't need to do anything fancy and talk about the worst things first. We're just going to go in order week by week, starting with the opening stretch where the Lions are going to be hosting the New Orleans Saints in week 1 at Ford Field at 1 o'clock Eastern. Honestly, all things considered, I'll take that. That's pretty good. All right. Not so bad. That, honestly, no notes. Saints were mediocre. They have some exciting young pieces. They have some good receivers and Tyson Olave. Tyson, who was just drafted. They have a nice young QB and Tyler Shuck. But overall, that should be a good way for the Lions to get off on the right foot for this season. Okay, no notes. Next, they go to Buffalo to play in Buffalo's home opener at a new stadium on Thursday Night Football. So they get a short week, but honestly, I actually don't hate this because Buffalo, they play Houston in week 1, who, as we know from last year, has one of the best defenses in the league, a very physical defense. They're going to give the Bills a major test, and the Bills are going to be on the road in week 1, and then they're going to come home. There's going to be a lot of emotion around this game in Buffalo. It's the first game in a new stadium, and the Lions have an opportunity here to go against one of the AFC's best. It's probably the toughest game on their schedule, and you get it out of the way in week 2. You should probably be looking for a 1-1 start through 2 games, maybe 2-0 if you surprise the Bills. That's very much in the realm of possibilities, but I don't hate getting it out of the way. Okay, 2 games were so far so good. Then week 3, you host the Jets. Okay, we host a Jets team that had 0 interceptions last year. Okay, the Jets are projected to be one of the worst teams in the league. I don't hate having them early on the schedule. Let the Lions build up some confidence. And as we get into the other opponents the Lions have early in the season, there's not a lot of great defensive fronts on these early schedule for the Lions. So the new, young, rookie-laden offensive line should be able to get their feet wet before they go against some of these gauntlets that the Lions have on their schedule in terms of defensive fronts. So Jets at home. Okay, so far so good. You should be able to start 2-1 at a minimum. Should mention that game is at 1 o'clock Eastern. Then you go to Carolina in week 4 to play on Sunday Night Football. Why a Lions at Panthers game is Sunday Night Football? I don't know, but that's 2 primetime games in the first 4 weeks of the season. The Panthers, look, are they a great team? No. I think they're a very scrappy team. They made the playoffs. They gave the Rams everything they could handle in the wild card round. And I think the Panthers are an ascending team. That's going to be a good game. That's just going to be a good game. The last time the Lions traveled to Carolina was that brutal Christmas Eve game in 2022, I believe, where they just got absolutely killed on the ground. And I don't want to talk about it any more than that. So, Lions-Panthers. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, I think having the Lions on Sunday Night Football, cool, whatever. That's a weird game to put in prime time, but Lions at Panthers, through 4 weeks, you have 3 games that should be pretty winnable and 1 pretty good test. You should start 3-1 in theory. Then the Lions in week 5 go to Arizona. That's going to be a 4:25 Eastern start, but sure, I'm surprised they didn't put this game earlier on the schedule. Usually when the Lions go to Arizona, that is peak week 3 material for the NFL, but they decided to give the Lions a little bit of a break. That game's going to be week 5. So in the first 5 games, there's actually not much to complain about. You got the Bills in week 2. That's going to be a big test, but you've got 4 not only very winnable games that you probably should win, games that you'll be big favorites in, and the Lions should win. You should go 4-1 or 5-0 through those first 5 games. So what's the problem, Zach? Why were you complaining so much? Well, how about a week 6 bye? A week 6 bye. Another early season bye. God forbid the Lions ever have a bye halfway or later in the season. Nope. Week 6. Week 6. Are you kidding me? Another early bye for the Lions. This is absolutely ridiculous, especially with some of the circumstances that we'll get into later. This is this is just stupid. It's just stupid that the Lions, year in, year out, you could set your watch to it, that the Lions are going to have a bye early in the season. Week 5 is the earliest possible bye. They get a week 6 bye. Oh, wow. We've progressed so much. BS. Although it might not be the complete end of the world, because even though the Lions are cursed with the early bye yet again, they do get the fortune of having a bye before 2 big divisional matchups. They have the Packers and Vikings in week 7 and week 8 respectively, both at home at Ford Field. The one unfortunate thing, I was hoping to get the Packers earlier on the schedule because Micah Parsons is going to be recovering from that ACL injury. I would have really loved to start with a Packers game in week 1 because then you don't have to deal with Micah. Parsons is going to be back by week 7, which obviously makes the Packers a lot tougher to beat, but you at least have the bye week to prepare for it. So maybe that's something to be happy about, although they had the bye before the Vikings game at home last year and they completely screwed the pooch on that one. So we'll see, but I do like having a bye before a divisional matchup, whatever. And then week 8 Vikings, I do like pushing those Vikings games a little bit later because we know how much that front gave the Lions problems last year. And I want to give this young offensive line plenty of opportunity to gel as a unit. You have 5 games that aren't exactly scary in terms of defensive fronts. The offensive line should be able to gel pretty good in those first 5 games, and then we'll see what happens against the Packers and Vikings in week 7 and 8 coming out of the bye. Then week 9, you travel to Miami to play what should be one of the worst teams in the NFL in the Dolphins that have like $150 million in dead cap this year. They're supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league. You go to Miami, that shit, we don't have to talk about that. That should be a win, plain and simple. Yeah. But this is where we get into the gripes that I have with the schedule, because week 10, the Lions have a home game that actually is not at home. They're going to Germany to play the New England Patriots, a Super Bowl bound team that honestly is not that good, but they're a good team that they're playing in Germany. That would have been a marquee date to have in Ford Field. Instead, they're going to have it in Germany. Look, a Germany game's fine. I have no problems with the Germany game. And you had 9 home games versus 8 road games. You were going to lose a home game to an international game this year. Fine. But the problem is you don't have the bye after an international game. And I know that it's not a rule, but most of the time, 80% of the time, you go play overseas and you're rewarded with a bye week after that because of the international travel involved. Not the Lions. The Lions used their one request to the NFL to not have a Thursday game immediately after Thanksgiving, and as a result, they do not have a bye after this Germany game because of the proximity to Thanksgiving. There's no way about it. This is screwing the Lions in a major way, and it's very unfortunate. There's nothing else to be said. This just sucks. The fact that the Lions not only have a Germany game without a bye after, they also have 3 games in 11 days, including that Germany game, with international travel involved. They have the Patriots in week 10 in Germany. They have the Buccaneers in week 11 at home. And then they have Thanksgiving against the Chicago Bears. 3 games, 11 days, international travel, no bye week. And I would have understood if the Lions had their bye week in week 9, giving them ample time to prepare for that Germany trip so that they could rest up and then that 3-game stretch in 11 days wouldn't be quite so brutal. Instead, their bye week will have been weeks away, a month away at that point, and the Lions are just thrown this gauntlet in terms of condensing the schedule down into to a brutal degree. It sucks. There's no way about it. That sucks. And even worse than that, the New England Patriots, their opponent in that Germany game, they are getting a bye after the Germany game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who the Lions play in week 11 after Germany, they get a bye in week 10. So while the Lions are flying internationally, the Buccaneers are going to be sitting at home. Then they play the Patriots. The Patriots then get to take their time getting back home and reacclimating to the time zones and jet lag and all that. And then they have to play a rested Bucs team. That sucks, dude. But once you get through Thanksgiving, you at least get the 10 days off or whatever. Then the Lions are going to go on the road to Atlanta. That's going to be another 1 o'clock Eastern game where a game against Atlanta, that's a good team, not a great team. You should be able to find your way against them. Then they're going to return home and play the Titans at home. I think pretty highly of Cam Ward. that shouldn't be that daunting of a game for the Lions. Again, it's kind of the strength of schedule wise, the Lions are pretty fortunate. It's just the way this schedule was organized sucks, and we haven't even gotten to another whammy, which is the end of this schedule. Because you might have noticed that we're through 14 weeks and the Lions have not had any road divisional games. Because they have all 3 in the final 4 weeks of the season. The Lions closed the season with at Vikings, home versus Giants on Monday Night Football, at Bears, at Packers. What? I haven't seen something like this in a while. The Lions have all 3 of their road divisional games packed at the end of the season for some reason. And look, at Bears, at Packers in January sucks. You have 2 January games on the road, in outdoor stadiums that are going to have weather be involved. I know that it's not that big of a deal, but that sucks, man. I hate that. However, the caveat with that is regardless of the strength of your divisional opponents, even if they're all 3-13 or whatever, playing those road divisional games suck. And having those 3 games stacked up so close to the end of the schedule, assuming the Lions are going to be a playoff team, which they should be, I actually don't hate having that kind of gauntlet at the end of the season. It's just very peculiar for the NFL to schedule it that way. I would have understood it a lot more if the Lions played at Green Bay earlier in the season in late October, early November, and then hosted Green Bay in Week 18. That would have made more sense. Instead, we get this weird gauntlet at the end of the season. It's just a very bizarre schedule. Now, like I said, with the strength of schedule, the Lions should be able to get to a good start. They got Saints at home, Bills on the road, Jets, Panthers, Cardinals. You should be able to get to a pretty good 4-1 level start, maybe even 5-0. And then you play some divisional games. Hopefully you do better against the division than you did last year, and we'll see what happens. But then you got teams like the Dolphins, you got the Falcons, you got the Titans, the Giants on the schedule. The Lions are set up to have a good amount of success with this season, just based on sheer quality of opponent. But their ceiling, man, I really would have loved to spread out some of these road divisional games or have the bye be in the middle of the season instead of early. There is potential with that Germany stretch to Thanksgiving where you have so many games in such a condensed schedule with international travel that the Lions, you could have a lot of injuries pile up around that stretch. You could have a lot of problems with fatigue around that stretch. Thanksgiving is going to be the worst looking game for the Lions because dude, they're coming off international travel and a game at home with no bye week after. That's so ugly of a schedule for that reason alone. Just that Thanksgiving stretch, I hate more than anything. The end of season gauntlet, whatever. All the road division, whatever. Throw the Lions to the Wolves. And if the Lions are a playoff team, those will be great tune-up games. It's just not super friendly to the Lions, whereas other teams kind of got the benefit of some better scheduling. I should mention the Lions have 6 standalone games, 4 primetime games, but 6 games where they're the only game on the schedule. So they got week 2 against the Bills. That's going to be Thursday Night Football. At Panthers in week 4. That's going to be Sunday Night Football. They've got the Germany game, obviously, which is they're going to be the only broadcast. They got Thanksgiving, which again, they're going to be the only game on at that time. Week 15 against the Vikings is going to be Sunday Night Football. And then week 16 versus the Giants is Monday Night Football. So 4 primetime slots for the Lions. The Lions continue to be one of the most attractive draws for the NFL in terms of those primetime slots. Obviously, week 18, if we're projecting it now, could be a pretty impactful matchup, but obviously that depends on how the season goes, but that is another opportunity for the Lions to be in primetime as well. So overall, this schedule, I don't like it. I don't love the way that it was laid out. There's this weird stretch where you have 5 home games, including the Germany game, which is technically a home game. You have 5 of 6 being home games, and then you close with 4 of 6, but 3 of 4 being road games. It's just a very weird way. The early bye week stinks. I hate it so much. And yeah, that's the schedule. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Lions schedule, what you're excited for, what you hate, or anything in between. I would love to hear from you guys. And again, if you made it this far, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. I'll be back sometime over the weekend with a way too early record prediction, because why not? And if you missed it, I did a way too early roster prediction as well. You can go check that out. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, my friends. Until next time, Cheers.